Graders. Today we are going to complete our spider web projects. So you'll need to find your project where you had it last week, and hopefully you went over your pencil marks with either a black crayon or a black oil pastel. It needs to have a little bit of either wax or oil in it to resist our watercolors. Today I'm going to use watercolors to color in the different shapes that we created when we drew this. If you do not have watercolors, you could use tempera paints. Remember though that if you do that, to ask your mom and dad first. Or if you don't have those, you could just use crayons, colored pencils, or even markers inside these shapes. That'll work just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and tilt this down so you can see what I'm doing. And I went ahead, whenever I paint, I make sure I've got my set of paints on top of a paper towel. And then I also like to put my painting on a paper towel as well, just to absorb the water. And I make sure that you are doing this on top of a surface that it's okay if a little water gets into it. I want my spider web to look like it is in the nighttime, like glowing through the moonlight to make it kind of look neat. So I am going to use cool colors. So I'd like you to choose 3 cool colors when you do it, no matter what material you're using. It can be crayons, colored pencils, markers, and I am using watercolor paint. So the cool colors are colors that make you feel cool when you look at them and calm, and they include violet or purple, blue, and green. Think of cool grass in the morning, water, or a cool sky. So that's the cool colors. So right here on my particular palette, I have them right in the center. And then whenever we use watercolor, we need a cup of water and we need a paintbrush. Now to prepare my paints, because they're dry and I haven't used them today, it's always a good reminder to dip your brush in the water and gently wipe it on the side. Remember, we don't tap our brushes because it can splatter and get all over, or it can cause a spill. So I'm going to get water on my brush, wipe it on the side, and whichever color I'm going to use first, I'm adding the water to. Since this is the first time I've painted today with this, I am going to add a little bit more water than normal. I'm going to start with blue. And I am going to start painting in the inside and move my way out. It doesn't really matter, but just keep in mind your sleeve, you might want to roll it up if you have a long sleeve, and just make sure you don't drag your hand in the paint. And I'm going to paint inside the shapes with my colors. Now you can decide if you want to do a certain type of pattern. I just decided to kind of do it randomly right now. And I'm being very careful. I'm going in one direction. I don't know if you notice that with my brush. I'm not going back and forth because then it's rough on your brush and it can kind of be what I call scrubbing. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do that. If I add a little bit more water, it'll look lighter. That's what's fun about watercolors. Now I am pulling just a little bit of black flecks from my pastels. That's okay. It'll all dry together. It'll be fine. So I'm just using this time to do my blue. I could switch and go back and forth with my colors, and I might later, but at this time I just like the way it's working for me. Watercolor just really spreads nicely. I like to use a little bit and then I might add more water later. I also like to just turn this page. This is one that I can rotate fairly easily, and I don't have to reach then. So I kind of like that. So again, you can see some of mine are darker than others. It's really whatever look you're going for. And I am very randomly, no particular plan, going to paint these in. Probably going a little faster than you might go. I've had a lot of practice with this particular project before. If you ever do get a place where the paint might run into another section, it's okay. It can just create somewhat of another color, or you can very quickly get a little bit of a paper towel that's dry and pull the color right off. Watercolor is supposed to be translucent, so that means you can see through it. It's not completely opaque, would be solid. So if you do have watercolor, you will see through parts of it. And as you can see right there, I got a little blue into that section. And so I'm going to take a little bit of a paper towel and just dab on there and lift it, and a little bit will come up. Some of it might stay, and that's okay. I'll just work with it and cover it up when I come back to it with another color. Or I could continue and just keep the blue in there. Okay, I am going to switch my colors now. I'm going to go for blue, or I'm sorry, I just did blue. I'm going to do purple. I'm real careful on the ones that are smaller shaped so I don't have it run off. And again, I'm taking my time, and with this project, I want you to try not to leave any white spaces. And now I'm keeping in mind that I do want to add some green to mine. So we'll kind of plan it out a little bit that way. And I can just on the edge go right off onto the paper towel, which is helpful. And then I'll start my green when I'm ready. So these are the three colors I'm using, all three cool colors. Take your time and make it look nice. Okay, so I went ahead and stopped it while I finished it, and then I've got it drying here. There were a couple spots on here that I did have to have a couple colors touch in a row, and that's okay because I didn't do it in a perfect pattern. That's going to happen. And then there was one place where I had green and green, and I decided I wanted to see what it looked like, so I put a little blue in it on purpose so it would look a little bit more like an aqua color, and I kind of like that as well. So you can always have the liberty to try to do that, but try to stay with the same color group. While that's drying, I'm going to leave it flat, and I'm going to set it to the side, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about making a spider. Now, there's all different kinds of ways you can do that. If you just want to take a white piece of paper and draw a spider, you can do that. I went ahead and made one out of black paper. I actually used a white colored pencil to draw it so I could see it and cut it out. And then I'm just going to turn it around so you don't see the white spots. If you want to use crayons or colored pencils or markers to add some details to your spider, that's completely fine. Remember though that spiders have 8 legs, so I put 4 on each side. And then what I'm going to do for a little fun is I'm just going to bend each one of these legs down. And then at the very edge, I'm going to bend it back a little bit to make like a little foot. See how it goes in and then out again? That gives me a little bit of a flat surface to put a little glue on the bottom of each foot, and then I can have it pop up off my page. Now this is still wet, but when this is completed, what I plan on doing is taking my glue and putting it underneath each little foot. If you have liquid glue at home, you can just do one little tiny dot on the bottom of each little foot. And then when it's completely dry, I am going to glue my spider somewhere on here wherever I want it to be, and it'll look like it's popping up off my paper, which is really fun. So for today, what I'd like you to do is complete your spider web, filling in the shapes that we created last week with cool colors. Remember, those are violet or purple, it's the same thing, green or blue. Fill in the spaces. You decide what art medium you have. I chose watercolor today. And I'd like you to create a spider. You could even use, I saw online that someone used aluminum foil once and tried to make one that way. You could try to be real creative with that, or draw it with white paper, or if you have brown or if you have a different color to make it fun, go for it. But remember, spiders have 8 legs, and if you fold them down and give it a little foot, you can glue it to your spider web. And then I'd like you to take a picture of it and send it to me. I can't wait to see your spiders and your cool colors on your spider web. Have fun.